Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Back with Jonathan Twomley again. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So you had a big event yesterday. One of the things that came out of that big event. So highlight the big event. But basically, you've seen that Fannie and Freddie might be tapping the brakes on syndicators. This is
Yeah.
breaking news. So what do you
So
got for us?
yeah, so I did for my multifamily launchpad group, which is my paid mentoring group for multifamily investors. One of the things I do there is a kind of a free thing for the members is I put on a summit every quarter, day-long summit. Usually we'll do some topic, and have so we had 6 panels yesterday, all about capital raising, and we had everything from SEC attorney talking about how to raise capital legally. We talked about traditional debt. We talked about alternative forms of debt. We talked about how to raise a fund. You name it. We talked about it yesterday. It was a great session. And one of the things that came up, I had Scott Williams from Align Capital in Greenville, South Carolina, come and talk about the capital markets and also just sort of like a refresher on the kinds of debt that's traditionally available for multifamily and how you qualify for it. So one of the things that Scott said was very interesting, and I wasn't aware of this, but he said that the government-backed agencies, so Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, have for their small balance loan programs, which kind of 7 million and under. So a lot of syndicators fall into this bucket. They have tightened the requirements for. They didn't say syndicators, but this is the kind of thing that hits syndicators really. So they've tightened the requirements for experience, and they've also tightened the requirements for when you have to get a balance sheet partner to help you qualify for the loan. So the requirements for experience now are that at the time of the seller application, at least one borrower principal, so somebody who is a key principal in the buyer entity, with control of the borrower. So it can't just be like some guy you bring in. They have to have control. Also has ownership and control in either one, a minimum of 3 multifamily properties with at least one for a minimum of the preceding 2 years, right? So you have to currently own multifamily property and 3 of them, right? Or at least one multifamily property for the 5 preceding years, right? So actually eliminates me because I sold everything 2 years ago, right? I don't even qualify for this anymore. I mean, this is not a hard and fast rule. I mean,
No, I know.
What we discussed was, well, if you have a good mortgage broker, they're going to go to bat for you, but you're going to pay for it a little bit. You're going to pay a few extra basis points of interest rate if you can't satisfy this.
Now, I'm just curious, Jonathan, I just want to see if I would qualify. So I own several buildings, but they're small, right? They're 20 units, 15 units.
But but at least one multifamily property for 5 preceding years?
Yeah, I've owned them for decades.
Yeah, so you would qualify.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be a certain size.
No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It just has to be big enough.
Big enough.
So you would qualify like a 15 unit or 20 unit. You definitely, that's worth a couple $1 million. Any kind of debt on that would be
okay. Cool. I'm just curious.
Right? So you're good. So maybe I have to bring you onto my team now.
Okay, there you go.
And then the other change, which is important, is a lot of people don't qualify for the debt on their own because they need. So to get a commercial mortgage, you have to have a net worth equal to or greater than the amount of the loan. Not you personally, but the team, the combined sponsor team must have a net worth equal to or greater than the amount of the loan. And depending on the loan program, either 10% of that liquid or 9 months debt service liquid, right?
Okay.
So let's just say you're going for a $7 million loan. That means altogether, you guys have to have $700,000 liquid, right? So that it could be like your 401k, something that is some kind of liquid investment that you can sell to raise the funds, right? Okay. So either cash or cash equivalents or stocks and bonds, what have you. Now, a lot of people don't have the net worth when they're starting out, so they need to bring in what we call a balance sheet partner, who's somebody who's willing to co-sign on the loans with you, who has the wherewithal, right? Can help you get over the top. Now, what the GSEs are saying is they're going to dig into how well you know that person. you have to have some kind of prior relationship with that person that wasn't just formed for the
Because
purpose,
of this. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That you just went and shopped around and found some guy who was willing to sign on a debt with you,
Mhm.
right? So you're going to have to demonstrate that you have some kind of relationship with this person beyond just like, hey, you found him somewhere to do this deal with you. Now, again, it's not a hard and fast thing. It's if your balance sheet partner is someone you just met, you're probably still going to be able to do the loan, but you're going to get dinged for it by
Yeah.
the bank with a little bit, higher interest rate, or maybe the other thing that they're doing is higher DSCR requirements,
Sure.
which are going to make it harder for you to get the deal over the door. If you now got, we were talking in the last session about the banks maintaining the DSCR, so the debt service coverage ratio requirements at 1.25 times, right? They may push you up to 1.3 or 1.35
Mm.
if they don't like the structure of your team, right? Or the
Interesting.
experience on the team. So that's going to make it even harder for you to get enough proceeds to compete in the market. And I think what they're doing here, this is a subtle way of kind of like tapping the brakes on the new, all the new syndicators coming to the market and saying like, hey, like we see a lot of deals that, they're qualifying, but we don't like that much. And we don't like the team that's in place, that much.
I actually wonder, when I see this change, at least in residential, and they've done similar things in residential in the last year for sure. I always wonder if they're looking at their active or existing portfolio, and they're looking at it going, hey, this part of the portfolio is the weakest or the least clean or whatever they want to call it. And then they dig in and go, wow, those are brand new syndicators and blah, blah, blah. And thus they change the rules. Do you think that's happening?
That's exactly what they did.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's precisely what they did. They've been looking at the data over the last few years, and they decided based on that data that
we got to be a little smarter. Yeah.
And there was a comment that came up, and I think it was Scott who said it, that he's been talking with people who administer the watch list. So there's a watch list of loans.
Yes, there is.
When your loans get, say, into cash management, which means you're paying your debt service, but you're below that DSCR requirement, and now you get into cash management, and it's just a huge mess. There's like watch list loans that are not in default, but they're kind of getting too close for Fannie and Freddie to be comfortable about it. What they're noticing is, hey, who are the people who are
exactly
on the watch list?
Well, and I think
new folks on the, new people who paid too much, don't know how to operate, and they're the ones on the watch list. So
back to the topic we just closed. I think some of those people that are on the watch list are selling their buildings to their next foolish buyer who is overpaying. And I see a lot of, again, is multifamily in a bubble? I'm going to say yes. There are some good deals, but in general, I'm going to stand by my statement in your group. I see buying a bunch of multifamily in 2 to 3 years, just like I did last time.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's definitely bubbly, and it's too expensive.
Bubbly, too expensive, but you won't call it a bubble. Okay.
I don't know if it's like a bubble, because it doesn't seem like it's gotten out of control.
Okay.
Right? Where it's like lost all tether to reality. But they're definitely, like we said in the last session, there's a lot of that kind of multifamily can't lose,
that's not good.
And, or, lots of rationalizations like, oh, the prices are going to stay high because all the hotel investors are not selling it.
Prices are going to stay high because prices are high. What?
That's interesting. Someone made a comment to the group, prices are going to be high because foreign investors are piling.
I saw that.
And it's sort of like, but that's kind of the definition of a bubble, right? More capital is coming.
Hello. Yes.
To the asset class, right? So saying like it's not a bubble because more capital is coming into the asset class.
That's the wrong argument.
It's not. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Like that's the definition of a bubble. Like too much capital is being attracted to this asset.
Yeah. Hot money can come, but hot money can go.
It's overshot the fundamentals, right? Yeah. That's basically the definition of a bubble. So, but I think the implication of those comments is that this is going to last forever, right? So therefore, well, maybe it is a bubble, but who cares? It's not that, or like, or the
It's a
bubble,
bubble that won't pop.
yeah, right. The bubble can't be popped because
Yeah,
of
right.
investors. But that also ignores the fact that there were plenty of foreign investors involved in 2006. Right? It
Absolutely.
wasn't like, and if you read what's the name of that book? Crash, I think. I've only made my part way through that, but there was a great book on the financial crisis.
Yeah.
And what it talks about is how all the bubbles around the world were all related to each other, and it was all caused by essentially all caused by U.S. housing, and all of the foreign banks piled into U.S. housing, and that's why the collapse of the U.S. housing market caused a worldwide financial crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So the idea that like, oh, foreign money, well, that it's foreign
Yeah.
money, so it's okay. There's
Yeah.
no bubble.
Yeah.
That's completely backwards. So
yeah. Well, I know you got to go, Jonathan. How can people find you on Facebook? What's the group?
Multifamily investment community is where to go. You can participate in these conversations, which are a lot of fun. We get into it, argue, have a good time.
It's good. It's all fun.
But please, when you go to the group, use a computer the first time, because there's a few questions that you need to answer to get in, and they're not shown to people on phones for some reason. So go answer the questions on your computer, and then you can use your phone forever after that. And do me a favor when you go, mention that, just in any one of the questions, just mention that you heard about me on the show. And I'd love to, because as I said to Michael, I don't know if anybody's even watching this thing. So let me know that you're watching it, and I'd appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Take care.